Today we're going to be talking about a pre-fab chicken coop from Aivituvin. I think that's it, Aivituvin. This is the AIR45 model. Aivituvin was nice enough to send us the chicken coop in exchange for an honest review. We've already set the coop up, it's outside being used right now. And while we were setting it up, I took some detailed notes on how I felt about this chicken coop, so let's get right into it. First things first, shipping on this chicken coop was extremely fast. I'm pretty sure my order went in and within a day and a half, I had the chicken coop sitting on my front porch. I don't know if that's always the case with this company, but it was definitely extremely fast shipping. This chicken coop comes in two separate boxes, box 1 of 2 and box 2 of 2, and this just kind of helps move it around once you get it to your doorstep. They're both still pretty heavy and I would use 2 people to carry them, but it's still much better than just one giant box. To be totally honest, I was actually pretty impressed when we first got these boxes open and we saw how everything was packaged on the inside. Everything inside is kind of laid down flat. It's all big panels, and in between each layer of panels, you have sheets of foam that's kind of keeping everything safe. You have some styrofoam that's keeping everything tight, and it was just packaged really well. The second you open the box, you can smell the wood that it's made out of. It's not necessarily like a hard, dense wood. It's more of a soft wood, like pine or fir or something like that. Right out of the box, right when we opened it, we did have one minor issue. We did have a little bit of a crack on one of the panels for the chicken coop. To me, this isn't a huge deal. It was probably just a mistake that happened in the shipping process. I'm not blaming them for this whatsoever. It was just a minor issue. Nothing I'm really too worried about. Once you pull all the pieces out of the boxes, you really kind of see that a lot of this coop is already assembled for you. You have big panels, the doors and the hinges and everything is already connected to these big panels. So really all you're doing is screwing these panels together and it makes it really easy to assemble. All right, the first thing we did when we started to assemble this, we just kind of took everything out of the box and got rid of all the packaging. So all we had left was the manual, the hardware, and the panels, all the pieces of this chicken coop. When we first looked at the instruction manual, it definitely seems pretty straightforward and easy to follow. Everything is both called out by a letter as well as telling you what that piece actually is, like right side panel or left side nest box, something like that. The letters aren't just posted in the manual. If you look on the panels themselves, it's not just little stickers that are letters. You've got the letters that are actually stamped onto the wood, and that definitely helps. You don't have to worry about stickers falling off or anything. This took us about 2.5 to 3 hours to assemble, but honestly, after a long weekend of working in the garden, we were pretty much delirious at this point, and we made a lot of user error mistakes when building this coop, and it was 100% our fault. You should be able to put this together in about an hour or so. It's really easy. The instructions do a really good job of walking you through the entire process, start to finish, but there was a couple things I wanted to touch on. If you're gonna be using a drill instead of a screwdriver, make sure that you set the clutch on that drill so it doesn't over tighten those screws. Like I said, the wood is kind of soft and you don't want to be splitting that wood, and if you drive a screw too far into there, it's gonna do exactly that. A lot of these pieces have dowel rods, which is extremely helpful. Everything just kind of fits together before you screw it in, but make sure you're paying attention to where those dowel rods are, because some of these pieces could potentially fit in different orientations. A couple times that we ended up putting things on the wrong way, and then we were like, oh, there's dowel rods on this side. That's supposed to be flipped over because they fit right into here. So as you're building this, just kind of look at where the dowel rods are and how they fit into each other, because we definitely didn't do that. All right, so when you're putting the nesting boxes onto the side of this, it has you screw together the entire nesting box, and then it has you place the floor into the bottom. But what we found works better is if you build the whole nesting box like it tells you to, but don't tighten the screws down all the way. You want to leave the screws loose, so that way you can drop that bottom floor piece of that nesting box into the bottom and then tighten your screws. The first time through this, we tightened everything all the way and then tried to place the floor into those nesting boxes. And one side worked, one side didn't. We just could not get it to fit down there with how tight everything was. In some older videos, I've seen where in the past, these coops have had an issue with water being able to get in where the nesting boxes connect to the coop. What they've done to alleviate this problem with water getting in is they've actually put a PVC kind of rain runoff thing there. I mean, it's really simple, but it does the job. You're not going to be getting water that's dripping down into your coop anymore. So that's definitely a plus. The bottom tray that you can kind of move in and out for easy cleaning, it does come with a latch. It doesn't tell you where to drill your holes. We actually did it wrong the first time. The way we put it on, we weren't able to move the tray in and out easily. So as you're putting this latch on that little tray, just make sure that you're not going to be blocking it anywhere for the tray to be moving in and out. Once we realized what we had done, it was easy just to pull that latch back off and then just kind of replace it, and it wasn't a big deal. Keep that in mind when you're putting yours on. The hardware on this chicken coop is actually really, really nice. The locking mechanisms that they have are simple and easy to kind of do on a daily basis, but hard enough that a predator wouldn't be able to come in and just open your door. On the coop itself, you have the entire roof that opens up to give you access to the inside. Once you open up that roof, make sure you kind of lock in those hinges. If you kind of to open it up all the way and push on those hinges, they'll actually lock in place so the roof doesn't come back down on top of you. You also have the nesting boxes where the little roofs on those also lift up, and then these kind of have like little kickstands that you can put up to keep those lids open. The latches on the nesting boxes are actually really heavy duty, and I do trust them to keep predators out. The roof doesn't come with any kind of a latch. So technically you could have something that could open up that roof, but I will say the roof is really heavy and I don't foresee anything being able to lift that up, but you never know, could happen. If you want to be safe, you might want to purchase an extra latch or a latch from somewhere to latch that roof down. There are two doors in the front of the coop, the sliding door that goes up and down, and that one locks in both the up and the down position. And then there's the castle door, I'm going to call it the castle door, and that just kind of lays down and gives them a little ramp to get on the inside there. That one does also lock closed, so that's good too. I will say that the sliding door, the normal chicken door that slides up and down on this, it slides really smooth. I like it a lot. And if you don't want to be getting up and opening and closing that every night and morning, then I would just go ahead and purchase a chicken door opener as long as you can. Those definitely help a lot. There are two perches in the side of this coop, and they're just kind of there down at the bottom. They're nothing too crazy or special or anything, but they will do the job. On the bottom of the coop, there is a metal tray that slides in and out, which I think that this is one of the coolest features that this chicken coop has. Is when you want to clean it out, you just slide the bottom out from under it, you dump it in the garbage, and you call it good. You just put it back in, lock the latch, you're good. This tray, it's pretty cool because it can't slide forward. It's got kind of a stop that stops it from sliding forward, and then it has a latch on the backside, so you can lock it so predators can't pull that out and get in through the bottom. And it's not something that I've ever had in a coop, and I just think that's a really cool feature. On the upper back of the chicken coop, there is a vent, and there's kind of a sliding door that opens and closes this vent. And honestly, I would have liked to see an additional vent, but it's not a deal breaker by any means. You can just open up one of the chicken doors and keep a vent open in the heat of the summer, and that should give you good enough airflow to bring a nice breeze through there. But you also need to make sure that you are closing your chicken door at night, or else predators definitely could get in. All right, let's move on to the run itself. So this chicken run will screw directly into the chicken coop. Depending on the ground that it's sitting on, you might see some air gaps underneath the chicken run. You could potentially have a predator that goes up underneath it, but honestly, that's the same as my big chicken run right now. And even though we have raccoons and stuff in the area, I've never had anything dig underneath my run, so it's not something I'm terribly worried about where I live. Where you live might be different, but where I live, that's not a huge issue for me. The run has two access points on the roof of it. Honestly, you could probably orient these access points wherever you want them. We did it one way on accident and then realized we wanted it switch around and do it a different way. So just kind of pay attention to that as you're putting the roof on. You can do it more than one way. In the front of the chicken run, you have a sliding door that goes up and down, locks in the open and closed position. This would also be a good place to put a chicken door opener if that was something you were looking to do. On the sides of the chicken run, you do have two access point doors, and both those doors have latches, so that way they kind of lock and nothing can get in there. And just keep in mind when you do the roof, there's only one latch, so if you want both of your access points to be able to lock, you might want to put those access points together, so that way you can put the latch in between those two right there. If not, you might have to find another latch, or what we ended up doing is on one side we have the latch on the very end of the run, and then on the other end where we have the other access point, we ended up laying the door down and then kind of laying the roof on top of it. So the roof kind of holds that down, and it really just fits together nice and snug. And I think it might honestly be how it told us to do it in the instructions. Could be wrong. Like I said, that door is pretty heavy, so it does hold that access point down. Just remember, we don't have a huge predator problem here. So if that's something you do have, you might want to look into other ways of just kind of keeping that secure. The fencing they use to fence this whole run in is okay. You're definitely not going to have any raccoons or anything that can reach their hand through it, so that's good. If something really got a hold of it, they might be able to gnaw a hole in it or something. It's definitely not bad at all. All right, now let's talk about the pros, the cons, and if I would recommend this coop to you. First off, this is really easy to assemble, and even though I was completely exhausted, we were still able to assemble this without any major issues. Even if you're not very good at building things, the instructions walk you through this extremely well, and you can just build it with a screwdriver. At one point, you might need a little wrench or some pliers or something to hold on to a nut, but for the most part, this is extremely easy to build, and that is a huge pro for me. I love how easy it is to keep this thing clean, so you can either just pick it up and move it because it's small enough as far as the chicken run, and then for the chicken coop, you just pull that tray out and dump it in the garbage, and that alone to me is a huge one, because nobody likes scraping out the poop out of your chicken coop. So having that tray on the bottom is really helpful. This thing has doors all over the place, just easy access to everything, and there's not really anywhere in or around this coop that you don't have access to. So everything is easily accessible. I really love the compact size, and especially nowadays where there's a lot of people that are wanting to keep chickens that don't necessarily have property to keep them on. This coop, I think the coop and the run itself together are about 103 inches long and I think 67 inches wide. So a lot of suburban areas, you wouldn't have an issue doing this as long as your city allows you to keep chickens. This would be a really just kind of discreet, small, really easy to take care of coop. This thing looks fancy. It's not an eyesore at all. The colors are nice and just calm and really just sleek, I guess you could call it. The whole chicken coop is sleek. I really like the design and the look and just the overall feel of it, I guess is what I can say. Most of the hardware on this chicken coop is really nice. There's 2 locking mechanisms. Wow, I couldn't say that word. There's 2 locking mechanisms that they use, and both of them are pretty cool and kind of different, not things that I've seen before. And they're both predator, I would say predator proof. I mean, there's not any predator that I know of that's going to be getting into those latches. If you need to move this coop, it would be really easy, just like you and one other person just kind of pick it up and move it wherever it needs to go. You could also put wheels on the back of it and just lift up the run and roll this thing across the yard. Aivituvin, got the name right. Aivituvin, they have a lot of their coops. They just put wheels on the back to where you can just pick it up and walk it around. All right, let's talk about the cons. And there's not a lot, but there is a couple. I would really like to see a latch on the roof. I don't think we have any raccoons here that are big enough to lift that roof, but just a peace of mind. It does kind of worry me just having that roof so easily accessible. Not a huge deal. I don't foresee any predators getting in there, but just in the back of my head, that's definitely going to be there. Aside from that roof issue, I do think that the coop itself is predator resistant. I wouldn't say proof, but resistant. It's built really well. It's made out of wood. Where you do have your vent, you have a screen that's in it. All of your doors lock. I really do feel that this is predator resistant. I don't want to say proof because then something's going to happen and someone's going to come yell at me. The run, on the other hand, not so much. I do feel like could get a predator like a fox or a raccoon or something that could dig underneath that run, as well as maybe get through the screening, but mostly it's just going to be getting underneath that run, which there's not really a whole lot I could think of that a prefab chicken coop could offer that could fix that problem. Just as far as like ease of use and ease of assembly, I can't think of anything that the company could do to resolve that issue. That's just something that us as chicken keepers need to be keeping in mind, that predators can dig down and under. So it's smart to put some chicken wire up the side of it and down on the ground so they can't dig down. But I really do think if you just keep the coop door closed at night, you're not going to have any issues with predators. I really don't think you will. When Aivituvin contacted me about doing this review, before I said yes, I definitely got onto Google, looked up the company, looked up YouTube videos, just kind of did a deep dive into the company and what they're all about because I hadn't heard of them before. I didn't want to review anything on my channel that I didn't actually believe in and feel was a good product. Are there a couple issues with the coop? Absolutely. Do I still recommend the coop? Absolutely. If you're in the suburbs, in the city, maybe somewhere with a smaller yard, as long as you're somewhere that allows you to keep chickens, but you have to keep it small and kind of compact and contained, this is an excellent route to go. It's easy, it's quick, it's small, everything is easy to clean. The whole package really does suit people that are in the city, in the suburbs, all those things. This is perfect for you. Yes, the coop is small, but then they also have the run that they can go out into and get some fresh air, and that definitely helps. If you go down to the description below, you'll find a link that'll take you to Aivituvin's website. This company has chicken coops that range from 1 to 2 chickens to 8 to 10 chickens. There really is a whole line of chicken coops that's really awesome. They have cat houses, they have rabbit hutches, guinea pig cages, garden beds, turtle habitats, just all kinds of really awesome stuff. I kind of got lost in the website today, actually. They have a lot of really cool stuff. So go down to the link in the description, go to their website, check out what they have to offer. Once you're done with that, watch this video right here, where I take an everyday yard shed and turn it into a massive chicken hotel. This is our main chicken coop. It was kind of a DIY project. It worked out really well for us, so go check that out.